My name is John Kamenga, and over the next few minutes we're going to be talking about our mission status. Of course, our overall mission, exploration and development of technology, but then there's the missions that permit us to complete that. At present time, we do have these two properties side by side, Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, and we are here at the Visitors Complex. These 5 launch pads are all set for use. 39B, perhaps to be used as early as next year for our new space launch system for deep space efforts. 39A, currently being used by SpaceX for their Falcon Heavy, and in the not too distant future, the Falcon human version will be launched from there. Pad 41 that we'll talk about more, but the United Launch Alliance with the Atlas rockets. 40 also leased to SpaceX, and 37, another United Launch Alliance pad, this time being used actually for the Delta and Delta IV programs. Out here near that elbow that sticks out into the Atlantic, pad 36 being prepared for use by Blue Origin for their rockets, pad 46 over there for Vector Space, pad 11 actually being prepared for landing of first stages from Blue Origin, and pad 13, the same arrangement with SpaceX. These are the rockets currently being used here. Delta IV, Atlas V, products of United Launch Alliance, Falcon 9, Falcon 9 Heavy from the people at SpaceX. Others to come in include Vector Space and Blue Origin, perhaps both of them beginning launches by the end of next year. We had a launch just a few days ago, but the next one is going to be coming up this week, Tuesday, and it's going to be taking up some rather elegant equipment, SpaceX being the provider of the trip. Also, we continue to work with the International Space Station. We at present are using the Russian Soyuz. 3 people at a time can go up in this portion of the Soyuz capsule, and in the near future, of course, that's going to be replaced by equipment from SpaceX and Boeing. But when the Soyuz comes down, there's a little bump at the bottom, but it is a safe system. At present, we just have 3 on board, 1 from the United States, 1 from the European Space Agency, and 1 from the Russian Federation. These 3 carrying on well over 200 experiments on a daily basis.
Houston Station on Space to Ground.
Welcome to Space to Ground. I'm Kayla LaFrance. A building material that has been used throughout human history is being tested by astronauts aboard the International Space Station. This week, NASA's Serena Anand-Chancellor worked on an experiment using cement. The MVP Cell 5 experiment uses a centrifuge to impart 3 simulated gravity levels to different cement samples. The variations in gravity levels matches those of lunar gravity, Mars gravity, and microgravity. The process of making cement, hydrating a powder and letting it dry to harden, creates microstructures that result in elaborate combinations of phases, ultimately determining the material properties of the hardened cement. By solidifying cement in microgravity, researchers minimize gravity-driven phenomena and are able to create a different microstructure than that observed in typical laboratory conditions on Earth. Researchers aim to understand this process of microgravity. This knowledge is essential to advancing the use of cement in extraterrestrial settings, such as the Moon or Mars. This knowledge could also lead to improvements in manufacturing processes here on Earth as well. It will not be long until the number of residents aboard the space station doubles. Next week, NASA astronaut Anne McClain, Canadian Space Agency astronaut David St. Jacques, and cosmonaut Oleg Kononenko will launch inside a Soyuz from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Make sure you tune in to NASA TV on Monday, December 3rd, starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern for live coverage of their launch, docking, and welcoming aboard. Sunny Williams is a veteran station commander and experienced spacewalker, but there is still a lot of training to do before her next flight. Assigned to the second mission on Boeing's CST-100 Starliner, she recently did some spacewalk training in virtual reality to prepare for her next long-duration stay aboard the space station. To see the latest as we get closer to these first commercial crew flights from Boeing and SpaceX, visit nasa.gov/commercialcrew. Keep sending in your questions using the hashtag #SpaceToGround. We'll see you next week.
And of course, space, but we're also doing a lot in other areas in our space station as well. In the near future, perhaps part of next year, both the Dragon version 2 capsule from SpaceX and Boeing Starliner will start alternating trips to the International Space Station, concluding our reliance on our Russian colleagues for those trips. That reliance has been there since the retirement of the shuttle back in 2011. And here are those that are going up. Sunita Williams, who was mentioned, is the one on the end of the line there. We have to take cargo up as well. The Japanese Space Agency continues to provide that service with their HTV vehicle. Very similar in appearance. The Russians have their Progress. Both of these, as well as the Cygnus, will burn up on re-entry. In particular, the Progress is used as the garbage can where we put in all of the used food wrappers, dirty clothes, since we don't have a washer and dryer up there. That would be a real headache to try to operate. And even solid waste from human beings. So that burns up on the way in. And think about that the next time you see a shooting star, what you might be looking at there. Now, the Dragon from SpaceX has a somewhat different take supplies up and then be filled with completed experiments, repairable equipment, and it comes back in on that time-tested method of parachute drop into the ocean. Granted, it does look just a little bit toasted when it lands, but the equipment inside is reusable at that point, or we can continue the experiments that we've brought back from the space station. This arrangement using these various international and commercial partners means that our NASA staff can focus heavily on returning to the moon in the next few years, and in the next 20, our first human trips out to better understand planet Mars and why it's in such sad shape today. Now that will use the new Orion capsule. We sent it off 4 years ago, and the one that we sent at that time came back, and we have it on display in the left end of the IMAX building, along with a Dragon capsule that went up and came back, and a full-scale model of the equipment from Boeing, that Starliner. There's other equipment there to see and look at as well, some from Moon Express and some from Sierra Nevada. Now, the Orion capsule is actually being manufactured on-site out at our operations and checkout building, maybe 2 miles from where you're seated right now. And we did send the one up, and this will be our vehicle for deeper trips, Moon, asteroids, and Mars. It will go up on our new Space Launch System rocket. Now, this is an artist's drawing. We have the crawler transporter going up the hill to pad 39B. The platform includes a tower that supports and services the rocket on the way up. And by using modified forms of our solid boosters from the shuttle program and engines that we've proven either in the shuttle program or back in the days of Saturn, we've been able to save a lot of money on research and development. Through a little bit of a miracle of animation, this is what that rocket should look like, hopefully launching around the end of next year. Color scheme may change, but the system will look pretty much like this. Takeoff is much faster than the Saturn V's and almost as fast as we had with the shuttle. There's a lot of extra power with the boosters taking off. They last for just over 2 minutes, drop away. Once in space, we get rid of other no longer needed equipment, and off the capsule and command module go for deeper locations. The solar panels unfold so that it is self-sufficient in electricity. That's better than using an extension cord. And off it goes. Now, in the near future, buildings that we may not need at the present time are being offered, and in some cases already are in use by private concerns that are space related. We want to encourage the private sector, commercial operations, and those that take a wide range of shapes and sizes as these companies vie for the competitive edge in taking up satellites and, to some degree, people. Several of them are talking about tourism. You ready? This would be the ultimate roller coaster ride. Some of them are talking very modest fees in the range of, $50 million or so per trip. Here we have asteroids and Mars as well as the moon as some of our objectives, and we share those objectives with some of these commercial concerns as well. We have completed the preparations out of Pad 39B for the new space launch system. Pad 39A, now leased to SpaceX. They preserve the old fixed service structure from shuttle days. One of the changes is this new swing arm that astronauts will cross to get into the Dragon version 2. And within inside of that, over at Pad 41, Boeing has put in an elevator and swing arm to service their new Starliner that will do the same kind of service as the unit from SpaceX. This is an actual, only took us about 7 years. And here you can see it going up to check out to make sure it's going to fit just exactly right, all the connections and everything. This is a good example of how the crawler transporter can make up for that change in angle here. And these full-size pickup trucks and these employees back here give you a better sense of the size of the equipment we're working with there. When we brought it back, we did not set it back outside where we had built it. We took it inside bay number 3 over at the vehicle assembly building, and there it is, final preparations for the stacking of our new space launch system. Next summer, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the first landing on the moon, and although we have much more to learn about the moon, we also want to go out and understand our nearby planet Mars to see if we can avoid some of the catastrophes that have happened on the surface of that planet. Yep, Apollo 8, this month, 50 years ago, these 3 went up, circled the moon, and wished the world below a Merry Christmas on Christmas Eve. On property here, if you have not seen it, please go into the Atlantis building by walking under the tank. Now, if you have been in there, there are some additions and changes that we've made recently. And we have brought the United States Astronaut Hall of Fame here from an off-campus location that's right next to the entrance where you arrived this morning. We have these connections with the media out there, the various connections to social media. And we're also going to give you an opportunity to take a look at a brand new video before we conclude here.
We have taken tremendous steps.
We choose to go to the moon because it is out.
We have achieved the earth-shaking, the breathtaking, the groundbreaking, and left a mark in the heavens. Our successes build one upon another and amplify what is possible. It's time we take the next great leap. We're building the next chapter of American exploration, returning to the moon to stay, so we can go beyond to Mars, to expand what's possible and further our understanding. The architecture for these missions has already taken shape. We will go with new systems, bold designs, and a sustainable mission. You can hear it, taste it, touch it. We are going. We are training, testing, pressing our pioneering spirit into every component, defining our resolve with every line of code, and securing our success with every welcomed partnership. This is not hypothetical. This is not about flags and footprints. about sustainable science and feeding forward